Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of Fred First. This is a series of informal webinars where I chat to various members of our team about what they do and what Fred Holidays can offer. And today I am very excited to welcome our all-knowing product and sales manager for Rail, Sally Barlow. Obviously, a huge member of our team, but for any travel agents who are tuning in and want to know a bit more about us, please introduce yourself and tell us everything.
Hi, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm Sally Barlow. I've been in the travel industry for well over 20 years now. Started out as cabin crew for KLM with the little city hoppers. I then worked for one of the leading coach operators, and for the last decade my specialism has been rail. So I quite literally have covered planes, trains and automobiles in my career. Once you get into rail, it really gets under your skin and you just get so into it. So I'm really excited to share some of my favourites with you today.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure you've got plenty of rail-based puns along the way. I know that's your second speciality. So you've obviously prepared some slides for us here, starting with this wonderful photo of yourself on the Venice Simplon Orient Express.
Indeed, yeah, that's obviously got to be your favourite day in the office when you're a rail enthusiast and you get invited to go on board and experience the Venice Simplon Orient Express. It is absolutely incredible, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it as we go through our presentation. I've had some amazing experiences, and an absolute career highlight happened last year where I got to go on board Glacier Express with a certain very well-known rail enthusiast. So that was definitely an absolute career highlight for me, as he joined one of our groups that we had arranged in partnership with another agency. So that was amazing.
Going forward, we are, well, at the time of this recording, we are introducing our new rail guide, but it's something that will be ongoing. Rail is obviously a huge part of what we do here at Fred Holidays and keeping you very, very busy. So I don't know if you'd like to talk us through this rail guide and what agents can expect to find.
Yes, so we've worked with the business development team to create an 8-page gatefold, which will better help agents to understand how far you can get by rail in a day, which is shown on the slide here. And it will also feature lots of our key partner rail companies and operators that we work with. Again, I'll go into a little bit more of those as we go on. And there'll be QR codes, which will lead you through to all of our collections.
Fantastic. It'll be a great resource for agents indeed. So let's open up this powder keg. Tell us a bit more about the range of rail products we offer. Let's see how much we can condense this into one slideshow.
Excellent. Well, all of these will have QR codes within the rail guide that we've just mentioned. We have a selection of budget breaks. They range from 2-night stays up to a week long, and they're all under £999 per person. And there is a section on the website with all of those in it. We have grand tours. Those tend to be circle journeys. So they will be from the UK by rail all the way around, usually one country. So there's a grand train tour of Switzerland, one of Germany, one of France, one of Italy. And then there are some that have cross-border elements as well, like imperial cities, which take in multiple countries. And there's also the option to fly start or return. So you don't have to do it all by rail if you don't want to. There's luxury rail holidays and rail experiences. So we have a selection of holidays featuring Venice Simplon Orient Express, which is a rail experience in itself, and then that can be featured within a holiday. And then we have Rail and Sail, which is, as it says on the tin, it's a rail holiday combined with a sailing holiday of some description, whether that be river or ocean.
Fantastic. And obviously there are tons and tons of iconic lines and railways that are featured in that, and I'm sure you've got plenty to say about all of them.
I have, yes. So I'll start with, as we mentioned earlier, Venice Simplon Orient Express. It is the ultimate once-in-a-lifetime experience. And it's not cheap. We know it's not. It's starting in next year, which is 2025, at £3,885 per person. When you get on board, you can see where every penny you have spent has gone. Everybody who knows about it wants to go on it. It is absolutely exquisite. The service is second to none. Moving on to La Dolce Vita. Some of you may not be aware of this train. It's another luxury train operating in Italy. It is modelled in an Art Deco style. It's a new train, so it's not the vintage that the Venice Simplon Orient Express is. So it's a new train. It's all luxury ensuite cabins, all lower beds, all inclusive, and it is round trips in and out of Rome. So there's a new kid on the block when it comes to luxury rail experiences that you can sleep on board. Glacier Express, most people will be familiar with Glacier Express. It's the iconic journey that everyone's heard of. It's super, super slow, travels at 24 miles an hour. You can do sections of it or you can do the full line. In my personal opinion, it's best to do the full line because the most spectacular parts are at each of the far ends. So Zermatt, where you have the Matterhorn mountain, and as you come into St. Moritz, you go over the Landwasser Viaduct, which is the iconic view of the train going over the bridge. Who doesn't love a steam train? The Harz Mountains is one of our sort of most requested tours. You can get a super simple pass that gives you access to the whole network over a 3 or 5 day period. Cost is really, really cost effective. It's about €90 for a 3-day pass, so it's a really nice way to hop on and hop off up to the top of the Brocken Mountain, explore the fairy tale setting at the Harz Mountains on a vintage carriage. It's got some open air sections as well, and it's just it's a really lovely experience for a steam enthusiast.
So all our rail products are incredibly popular, but in the last year or so, what is the best-selling tour we sell?
For this year, 2024, we have seen a huge increase in Bernina Express just in general. Inquiries are up massively year on year for Bernina Express, but particularly to go to the Italian lakes. So Lake Garda is one of our core products, and it is by far and away the biggest seller for 2024. You can stay in either Desenzano del Garda or Peschiera del Garda. Any of the other resorts on Lake Garda don't have a train station, so those are the only two that you can get to by train. But if you prefer to carry on and go to Riva del Garda or somewhere like that, you can add in a boat transfer or a road transfer. If that is something that you want to do. But Desenzano and Peschiera are much easier. And in terms of the route, I don't think you can beat Bernina Express. I think it is in sheer terms of variety of scenery, ease of access from the UK. You can get the train or fly to Zurich. Chur is an hour from Zurich. You stay overnight there, and then you take the Bernina Express in the morning down to Tirano. It's 4 hours of jaw-dropping scenery. As it says on the slide there, from peaks to palms, you're going from castles and waterfalls and thundering rivers and greenery and peaks of mountains and forests. Then you go around the glacial lakes. You go over the Landwasser Viaduct, which is an absolute icon, into the UNESCO heritage, onto the UNESCO heritage Albula Line Railway, and then you come past St. Moritz, past glaciers, all around the lakes, into the greenery of Italy, around the 360-degree Brusio Viaduct to arrive in Tirano. You just see such a staggering array of scenery. It's just incredible.
Amazing. All of that squeezed into one tour. It's a wonderful amount of variety.
I've got a couple of trains here to mention off the beaten track. Now, I would hazard a guess that not many people will be aware of this line. It's called La Ligne des Cévennes. It's just a normal train. It's the locals use it, and it runs between Clermont-Ferrand in the centre of France, as you can see on this little map here, down to Nîmes in the south of France. It's around 6 hours in duration, and it's basically like that picture most of the way through it. It goes through it's sort of in between 4 national parks, regions that aren't accessible by road or by any other means really, except on the train. So it's a really lovely way to see the centre of France. So we've all heard of Glacier and Bernina Express, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Golden Path line, which runs between Montreux and Interlaken, and you can carry on up to Lucerne as well. Between Montreux and Zweisimmen, it's a narrow gauge railway, so if you're carrying on from there, you do need to change trains. The green seats that you can see in the top picture here are unofficially my favourite train seats. They're my favourite carriage. This is the Belle Epoque Golden Pass, and it's included on a Swiss travel pass, so there's no extras to pay for seat reservations to travel in these gorgeous, gorgeous vintage carriages. The bottom one is the Prestige class, which is on the new Golden Pass Express train, which was introduced in 2022. Appreciate not everybody is as rail nerdy as me, but this train can travel all the way from Interlaken, in between Interlaken and Montreux, without having to change trains. So it lifts itself up, it narrows its own gauge, and it puts itself back down for a seamless journey right the way through. So that's really exciting. If you're into your trains, that's really exciting. And you can also see from that picture that the train seats do also swivel to face either direction. So you can, particularly if people are worried about facing forwards, or you can face each other. So it's really, really nice. It's an excellent addition. There is a small supplement to pay for the Prestige class seats on top of a Swiss travel pass, but the journey itself is included. So I'll just go through a little bit of what we offer worldwide, because a rail holiday would typically be you leave London St Pancras, you travel around by rail, and then you return. You also have your rail experiences that you can enjoy all over the world, and we are able to book any rail line, pretty much. We're able to book it. Some of the privately owned ones might be a different story, but I will just run through some of the major rail operators that we work with worldwide. We have Rocky Mountaineer. Here I am again demonstrating what a terrible job I have. So I'm quite excited, as you can see on that slide. I mean, it was a miserable, cold, wet, raining, horrible day, and it was just great, to sit in your heated seat and you get a cup of coffee delivered to you. Rocky Mountaineer is synonymous with worldwide rail travel. It's just the sort of the most sought after worldwide experience, I would say. You have two different classes on Rocky Mountaineer. You have Gold Leaf and Silver Leaf. If customers are traveling on a budget, Silverleaf is absolutely fine. It is still such a great service. You've still got the domed windows. You have your meals served at seat rather than in a restaurant carriage, but you still have the same level inclusions. Slightly less choice, but you still get to see all the same scenery. Gold Leaf is obviously the way that if you if money is no object, then that's the way you travel. And even then, the upgrade to Gold Leaf isn't hugely expensive. So if your customers can afford it, it's a worthwhile expense. Everything is served at seat sort of throughout your journey, apart from your meals, which are taken in the restaurant carriage, and you do get a few extra choices. You have heated reclining seats, and in all of the carriages you have this onboard commentary. We saw I mean, it must have been hundreds of incredible birds, and then we saw a couple of bears, and that it was just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There's a little map there of the routes. So you have the main route, which goes through Kamloops to either Jasper, Lake Louise, or Banff, and then you have the Whistler route through to Jasper as well. And then there's also a newish route into in America from the Rockies to the Red Rocks, it's called. So that's Rocky Mountaineer. You could also include Rocky Mountaineer in conjunction with this train, the Via Rail's Canadian. So this is Trans-Canada from Toronto to Vancouver, or the other way around. Our package that we have flies you into Toronto, you visit Niagara Falls, and then you take the Canadian across to Jasper, and then from Jasper you pick up Rocky Mountaineer to Vancouver, so you get the best of both worlds. But you can carry on right the way across on the Canadian across to Vancouver. You have ensuite cabins. You can have the couchettes for a budget option, and then you can have this one here, which is the Prestige. It sells out almost immediately, and that is a sofa bed, or a sofa that converts to a full-size double bed with this incredible picture window at the end of the bed, so you can just lay in bed with a cup of tea and watch the wilderness go by.
Stunning.
And the Canadian, if you want to do the cross Canada or Trans Canada in winter, then you do have to do it on the Canadian, because the Rocky Mountaineer doesn't run in those months. Onto Amtrak. When you consider how huge America is, and this is its rail service, compared to Europe, the distances that you have to cover by rail in America is just vast. So it takes a little bit of planning. So if you have a customer that wants to go to America by rail and you need some help with it, give us a call, because we can help you plan. A lot of these services are so long that they are sleeper trains as well, so you've got to factor that in timing wise with holidays. But yeah, we have an across the USA tour, and we have lots of cruise options that can then take in the Amtrak. We do also have an entire no-fly Canada and America package that uses Queen Mary 2 out and back. So it is possible to do that. It's about 72 days long. I think Joseph might have mentioned it actually in the last.
It's mammoth, but as you say, once in a lifetime is a pretty amazing itinerary.
Yeah, so South Africa in serious style. This is Rovos Pride of Africa. It's a vintage train made from 1920s Pullman carriages. And it's an incredible experience. I have been lucky enough to go on board this train. You have a private reception in a private room by the station, where you're greeted usually by Rohan Vos himself, who sees off quite a lot of the departures from Cape Town. Cape Town to Pretoria, or vice versa. You've also got Victoria Falls, you've got Durban, you've got the wine route, you've got all the way up to Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. So there's lots and lots of different routes to choose from, ranging from 3 nights right up to 14. So this is a rail experience and a rail holiday all in one if you take one of the longer journeys. It's all inclusive. All of the cabins on this train have ensuite facilities and lower beds as well, and some of them have even got a bath. So this is sort of the ultimate. We do also there is Blue Train, which is having some operational difficulties at the moment, but we do also offer Blue Train when it is operational. And then going over to Australia, the Ghan and the Indian Pacific. These two, we don't have any set packages for these two, because nobody ever wants the same thing. They usually want to add it into something that they're already doing when they're out there. The trains are identical in terms of spec. They obviously just cover different routes. One is north One is north to south on the Garn going through the red centre, and the other is east to west on the Indian Pacific going from Sydney to Perth. There is actually a video, if anybody actually wants to watch it, on YouTube. The Indian Pacific is so long that it takes over a minute to go through stations. It's over 1 kilometre long. It's absolutely vast. It's a huge piece of machinery. So yeah, and you've got I think these are both 3 or 4 night itineraries, and they're great for adding into to cruises and extensions to cruises, and pairing with New Zealand as well. And then we have 2 more in the Belmont collection, owners of Venice Simplon, Orient Express. You have Eastern and Oriental, which are round trips of Singapore into Malaysia. They used to do Singapore to Bangkok. That's currently not running as of 2024. And the Hiram Bingham, which is the luxury option to get up to Machu Picchu if you don't fancy the walk. Yeah, that's 2 incredible options in the Belmont portfolio. The Hiram Bingham is just a day train. It's not a sleeper train.
Wonderful. Lots of amazing products there. But do you have any kind of advice for travel agents, when helping a customer with rail inquiry or rail booking? What are the things they should be looking out for?
Of course. Yep. So we understand that rail can be quite difficult to get your head around if you're not used to it. As we saw on the map on the first page, it's vast. How far that you can get in a day. You can get all the way to Vienna now in one day by rail, and it's sometimes difficult to know, how whether or not you need to stay over, where the best connections are. And that's where we come in. But also, it's best to ask your customers, try and get as much information as you can about what they're trying to achieve with their holiday. You may not need. A lot of customers will think that they want a full rail pass, and in reality, they may not need one. Switzerland is a prime example. Unless you're going to be using it every day, it may well be cheaper to have a half fare card with local point-to-point tickets. Some of the hotels will actually give you a regional travel pass anyway, so you may not need a full pass. So ask them exactly what they need, what they want to achieve out of their holiday, and then we can work out the most cost-effective way of doing it, rather than just assuming that they want a rail pass that they're possibly not going to use. Same goes for interrail passes. They do sound like a great idea, but actually there's quite a lot of admin in the background, and the customers have to do quite a few things themselves in terms of seat reservations and things, and they're not always the best option for your customer. It might seem like an obvious one, but travel at off-peak times. Your Eurostar tickets, the prices plummet in the middle of the day compared to your peak services, exactly as if you were going to London to go to work. It's no different. So travel in the middle of the day wherever you can, because that will generally be the most cost-effective way of doing it. Regional and indirect services, not only can they be considerably cheaper than the high-speed services, but you're also going to have a slower, more just a more attractive experience. You might need to change and have an extra change of trains, but for example, you can, with one extra change, you can travel right the way down the length of the Rhine River and just have that to look at rather than whizzing through cities as you go along. And also, you don't have to go all the way by rail if you don't want to. You can hop on a flight to Zurich, hop on a flight to Munich, Paris, wherever, and do some of the journey by air if you want to save some time. It's entirely up to you. With our tailor-made service, we can do all of that for you. And there's a few concerns that customers have, which is quite common in terms of rail holidays, particularly these ones here. So if the rail isn't out yet, so if the tickets aren't available to book, then we know generally what the schedules are going to be. They very rarely change hugely. And if they do, then we will find a suitable alternative as part of the package travel regulation. And we will commit to the pricing. So we will give you a quote. And if when that rail ticket comes out, it's more expensive, that's on us. So none of that extra cost, if there is any, will be passed on to your customers. It is a more expensive way to travel than jumping on a Ryanair flight, but there's no baggage claim, there's no check-in queues, there's no just airports in general. So it is it's a different experience, and if people want to avoid an airport, they don't mind paying a little bit extra to do so. Some people think they can plan it themselves. They can, if they really want to. They might not, as mentioned earlier, they might miss an opportunity to have a more scenic route. They might not realise that they don't need a pass, or they might just book a non-flexible ticket and end up getting stuck. So we know the best types of tickets, the best way to get there. We'll do all the seat reservations where possible for them, and we'll just take care of it all. Plus there's the ABTA and ATOL cover, which, as we mentioned earlier, the package regulation means we have to help out. And then the last point, if anything goes wrong, delayed trains, anything like that, we have a 24-hour out of hours service, so we will help you get yourself where you need to be, and be there, so you're never alone.
Fantastic. And obviously, you are our rail specialist, but we have a full, amazing team of rail experts who are all here to help. They all know what they're talking about. So, with any of those concerns, any of those potential barriers, it's stuff we can always talk through. So, any questions, just ask.
Exactly.
So, obviously, as of filming right now, we are in 2024. Are there any exciting plans for 2025? Anything coming up that you really think we should know about?
So I mentioned earlier, Dolce Vita Orient Express will take its maiden voyage in 2025. We've created some amazing rail and sail packages around it, as well as simple rail with hotels either side. So we've got 8 different routes to choose from, and you can tailor it however you like. We also have some fantastic Maharaja's Express packages with at Pandor. So we are the GSA for Pandor, and we have a Ganges and a Brahmaputra product with Maharaja's Express, which is really, really popular, thanks to a TV program by Trevor McDonald a few years ago, which made it sort of famous. So that's been really good. We also have a package which has Dolce Vita Orient Express with the Venice Simplon Orient Express, which is, I like to call it a tale of 2 trains. And it's the golden age of travel meets the new age of luxury. So that's an exciting new product for 25.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for running us through that. I appreciate that's an awful lot to squeeze into one slideshow, but it's amazing. And as you say, it's an amazing way of traveling, and it's really opened my eyes as someone who's fairly new to travel myself. So I'm sure all the agents watching, hopefully there's some amazing inspiration in there.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning, we had a rail brochure that was really, really popular, and we don't have any more. So this is the old brochure, but we are working on a new one for 2025. So you will have a Fred Holidays Rail Journeys brochure, which is due out for 2025. So it will be hopefully ready for peaks.
Absolutely. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. So all of those amazing products and tons more can be found on our agent portal. It's an in-house service where we provide tons of resources for Fred Holidays products. So all you need to do is just scan the QR code on the screen. It will take you to the website. It's very easy sign up. And then we also have another QR code there for our agent Facebook page. That's just where we have updates from our BDM team when they're out and about on the road, as well as products and product posters, etc. More resources that you can easily show off to your customers. Our BDM team are always up for calls. They're always up for coming out and elaborating on everything Sally's spoken about today, and occasionally maybe visited by Sally Barlow herself in the flesh. Wonderful. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, thank you very much.
Thanks.